Hi, this is Melissa, your free range psychic, and today I'm going to do a reading about the migrant children. Several people requested that I do that, and also Mother's Day is tomorrow. Today's Saturday before Mother's Day, and it seems appropriate. Sad situation. Um, so the subject card that my guides gave me. Oh, before I start, I'm using the Gilded Tarot by Ciro Marchetti, and this is a guided reading, meaning that I didn't shuffle the cards and pull them out of the deck. I asked my spirit guides to choose the cards, and then they gave me the psychically gave me the cards, and I laid them out in a simple Celtic cross. So the subject card is the Five of Pentacles, and I'm going to read from my notes here because I asked my guides about each card beforehand, and it's kind of intense, a lot of information. So the Five of Pentacles represents children being separated from their families. The intent is to make money off the families and the children, and also to recreate the Nazi concentration camps, to continue where the Nazis left off in terms of genocide. And they're saying it is genocide, the intent of these camps. It's not just about money, but about racial purity and the domination of the male Anglo-Saxon race in the United States. So on top is the King of Pentacles. And this is John Kelly and Stephen Miller and all the people who oversee this operation, and the people who oversee it, organized it, and are profiting from it and are going to profit from it. So in the recent past is the Seven of Swords. So this is all the secret planning behind closed doors that went into making this happen. And they're also saying, interestingly enough, Russia was also helping in the background. This was they helped handpick whoever was going to be in charge of making it possible, and that's including Steve Miller. They're also investors, but this is just about. It wasn't just something that happened or happened in the running up to the months before they made these laws. This was all pretty elaborate and detailed. Everything that went into leading up to this. Right from the start of Trump's presidency, and maybe some things beforehand. So in the bottom or below the subject card is the Five of Swords, and this is the card of the brute. It's about enjoying his power, basking in the glory of his ability to create suffering and misery. And if you notice, there are you see people in the background, either dead or in some kind of pain or suffering, and he's reaping the glory of it, of the domination, of the conquest. But these characters in the back, they represent the families, the children, and their parents. So in the near future is the Judgment card. So I'm going to take this over to the side. So this is about the investigations that begin in the house regarding these camps and everything around the camps. And they showed me AOC and others really pulling everything apart with fine-tooth comb. They're just really, really wanting to get into this, you know, reveal what's going on, find out what's going on to these children, and so that's going to be happening in the future. This judgment, because we're all going to be making judgments about it as it comes out. Um, yeah. So the clarifying card is the Two of Cups. Always a beautiful card. Well, I love it. I'm sure it can have some uh, um, many kinds of meanings, but to me, I just love the energy or essence of this card in general. But in this reading, it means it's about communication. It's about families communicating with each other, about families being located, families being reunited with the children. This is really about reunion. So the guides are basically saying the children will be reunited with their families, but only after Trump is out, only after this administration is gone, will really, the healing begin. Um, there already have been families reunited, but the ones that they say they can't locate, um, they will be found and reunited with their families. So in the outcome card is the sun. So they said that this card means um, this is us as a nation and also the world finding out everything behind what went on with these camps, who was involved, what the intent was, what took place. Um, and after Trump leaves and the camps are shut down, it's shocking. It's about finding out what happened to the children um, who may have been involved in human trafficking, um, abused, possibly even, and I'm saying this. I'm a psychic. I'm hearing what I think I'm hearing from my guides. I'm not saying this happens or not, but I'm hearing there have been children who've been murdered, um, and we're finding out about this in detail. Um, so it also we're going to find out what was going to be planned for the camp. So it's all like in stages of expansion, and it hasn't been fully fleshed out yet, but they had like, okay, this happens next and this happens next, and just growing and growing, and had very insidious plans, everything to do with making money, just like the private prisons, really, if you think about it. um, so uh, I have a lot of questions after that. I wanted to um, kind of go more into detail, and I know you have a lot of questions, and there's so much around this subject, and I'm sure I'm not going to cover everything, but this is just where my mind went. Uh, so they're saying not all the children will be reunited, not all the children will survive, but the majority will. Many have endured great hardships, abuse emotionally, physically, psychologically, and spiritually. There has also, or there has been sexual abuse and rape. There has been human trafficking, but not in all the camps, shelters, or families. So actually, in some of the families and shelters, there have been some kind people. Um, the experiences have really varied. But they're talking about, and there may be more than one, but they've brought my attention to one particular camp in Texas somewhere, and that's where the human trafficking is. That's where the murders happen. They say they weren't intentional murders. What happened was these children were excessively punished, and death was the result. And then the children just kind of were disappeared. Um, and there are bad things that happen in other camps too, but this one particular camp is just really, really bad. We're going to find out about that about it eventually. Um, so uh, I asked for percentages. These can be very incorrect, but what I heard was about 18 to 20, and I don't even know what that means in terms of human life really, but about 18 to 20% of the children have suffered some kind of sexual abuse, and it's pretty high a percentage. Um, but the human trafficking has been mainly confined to one camp. Um, uh, so they said the crimes will be revealed and there will be justice, just so you know. Uh, but all the children have experienced trauma, of course, being separated from their children, and just the journey and the being there and just what they endured at the border and um, all of it. Uh, but my guides again tell me the majority of children are going to be reunited with their families. Oh, and this was interesting. I suspected this, but my guides confirmed this that um, the Trump administration actually kept track of all the children, that they lied when they said they lost those children. They didn't lose them. Um, they said this whole venture was planned for and run with Nazi-like precision. And I don't know if any of you have looked into Betsy DeVos and you know evangelical adoption. Um, uh, there's a book I recommended on another reading regarding Betsy about there's a lot of money to be made, and there's also behind it this kind of zeal like missionary uh, idea that you will save these pagan children in the migrant children's instance of Catholic. Oh, God forbid, they're not evangelical, Protestant, or whatever. And they'll be brought up in these, they'll be saved, their souls will be saved, and they'll be brought up in these evangelical homes. So that she makes a lot of money. I mean, this whole industry makes a lot of money. This adoption industry with these children, and so to cover up her tracks, so that those children don't get found out, or whatever happens to these missing children, so they don't get found out. They're saying, "Oh, we don't know what happened to them," but they did keep track of each one of them, and so that's going to help return them to their families. It's going to be found out. That's what my guides say, and I hope that's true. I hope I heard that correctly, I should say. So, um, so I asked, well, who are the major players? And I think there are quite a lot of them because a lot of people stand to make money. And they say some of the major players are John Kelly. We know because he's taking a position on a board over that massive children's shelter in Florida for undocumented minors. Steve Miller, of course, one of the masterminds, the one who keeps on thinking about these increased draconian policies and towards migrants. Jared and Ivanka Trump, of course, Giuliani is involved, Mike Pompeo, John Bolton, and Mitch McConnell and his wife. Steve Mnuchin, Steve Bannon, and Gorka are some of the major players in this. It's all behind the scenes. It's like, oh my God, just uh, the most insidious intent. And this was, uh, thought of beforehand. It was premeditated, not just this kind of there's a bunch of families and children here. Oh, what are we going to do? Oh, let's do this, and then let's make some money out of it. That's bad enough, but no, this was actually very carefully thought out how this was all going to go down, how it's still going down. So I asked about Kirstjen Nielsen, who just left Homeland Security, and apparently she was. They say that she is a white supremacist, and she helped implement those policies. But she's not one of the major players. She was a good Nazi. She followed orders. And then I asked, what is the spiritual meaning? And my guide said, this is all very karmic. It's all about transformation, the battle between good and evil, corruption and innocence, complicity and defiance. What is in human hearts? fleshing out the dark and the light, people making choices which way to go. But my guides tell me that amazing things will happen from this as a result of this very dark time that are yet unforeseen. And they say many of these children will rise from the ashes like a phoenix and become powerful forces for good. They'll be champions of the underdog, human rights activists, environmental activists, future leaders and trailblazers. So many of these children will come out of this and be um, uh, extremely important for moving us forward into a more humane and a more compassionate and a fair world. Um, and it will be because of their experiences in the camp. So hurts my heart. I know it hurts all of us to talk about this, but we're always with these children, right? No matter what's happening to them, we're always with them in our hearts. And there are ways, by the way, to reach out to these families. Maybe I'll list a few of the organizations and charities that are really helping these families and trying to get these families together. I know they're active in Michigan, where quite a few were sent, the younger ones, to think of Grand Rapids, because Betsy DeVos has an agency there, and many were sent to New York and all over the country. So I want to wish you a good weekend, a happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. And Mother's Day, I believe Mother's Day was came from the women's rights movement. It was about activism and about stopping wars and protecting their children and protecting their sons from dying in the battlefield. So activism is a very appropriate thing to be involved in this Mother's Day. So take care and until next time.